So, hello there, streamers. I don't know if you guys can see me so well, but tonight we are going to be doing our very first stream of Skyrim. So basically what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go through and I'm going to teach you how to make a spell book, like this one right here. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to give you kind of a list of things. So first off, we're going to talk about the things that you need. You're going to need this book. Okay, so if you open it up, you can see that it's one of those hallowed books that you get from a craft store. If you take a look on the website, you can see I have a list there that's running on our Coop IRL page. And you'll have all the ingredients that you need for tonight to make something really cool. So we're going to make this spell book tonight. We're also going to make this component for spells. So you can see right here, I got this from the thrift store, which is pretty cool. I got it for $1.95. I suggest checking out your Goodwill, some local stores like that. If you have any kind of just simple thrift stores, you don't have to spend a lot of money. This stuff is meant to be cheap. It's supposed to be fun, something to do on a free night. I'm going to be trying to keep my cabinet full of Skyrim things, basically, is what's going to be happening. So if you would also like to do that, follow along every week. We're going to do new things every week, new spell components, new spell books. I'm going to teach you tonight how to make giant toes, which is going to be fun. And you're going to make it completely out of dough, and it's going to be like, dough that you make in your kitchen that you would make cookies out of, but it's going to be like a very salty Play-Doh version. So we're going to do that. So first of all, tonight, let's talk about what you're going to need. Okay. Zoom in down here a little bit better. Let's see. So, first of all, for your book, you're going to need, obviously, the book. Like I said, you can get that at a craft store. I think I paid about $8 for mine, but I got it on sale for about $5.99, $5, something like that. Got mine actually at Michael's. So, then of course you're going to need some heavy body acrylics. If you can find a heavy body acrylic, it's great. This is actually, I don't think, a heavy body acrylic, but heavy bodies work the best because it's a thicker kind of paint. Dries faster. This is Art Advantage. It's kind of like an off-brand, but it works fine. Doesn't need to be the world's greatest acrylic paint. If you do have kind of a better acrylic paint, that's fine too. Here's some Reeves. It's kind of midline, nothing super special, but it's a little bit thicker, a little bit less of it. You can find probably something like a palette. This one, as you can see, it's been used quite a few times, which is just fine. It doesn't really matter as long as you can keep track of your colors. Then, of course, you're going to want some brushes. Oops. So for your brushes, you're going to want a variety of different brushes. You're going to want these ones right here. You can see that are kind of, you get real close to it, you can see. They're kind of jacked up on the top like that. And there's a reason for that, because we're going to need that if we're going to be making like some texture, basically. So go ahead and find yourself some brushes like that. Don't be afraid to use kind of crappy art brushes that you have around. And then we're also going to use some nicer brushes. So try to get a hold of some horsehair ones, something like that. Anything will actually do the job, but as long as it has a nice kind of smooth ability to move paint around, not too coarse. That'll work just fine too. If you want to use cheaper, kind of crappier paints, you can do that. That's fine. These are Apple Barrel, which is kind of like literally the bottom of the barrel as far as acrylic paints go. No offense, Apple Barrel. You can get these at Walmart, I think, for like $1, 98 cents, 89 cents, something like that. When you get your paints, you'll make sure that you're going to get your primary colors. You're going to get your red, your yellow, and your blue, which I don't have over here in the thick ones, like this. Okay? And from those colors, you're going to be able to make just about anything else, as long as you have a white and also a black with you. Okay? So now that we have those things, let me think, what else do we need? We got those. Oh, yes, this is important. So there's going to be this kind of gold decoration that's on the books in Skyrim. And in the actual game, it kind of looks like a cord. We're not really going to do the cord. We're going to use this Tulip Metallics. It's a puff paint, kind of stuff you made in like 6th grade. Well, if you're my age anyway. I don't know what you kids are doing these days. Damn kids and your internets and your web games. So this one has kind of a metallic tint to it. It also has a little bit of a sparkle inside. So The idea is that we're going to use this and lay it down in kind of a thick ribbon, almost like. It's going to dry. It takes a couple hours. If you do it thinly, if you do it thickly, it's going to have to dry overnight. Okay? And then last but not least for the book, you're going to need, this looks kind of weird, it looks like a bunch of hair, but it's actually not. You can use a Brillo pad. If you're going to use a Brillo pad, I would tear it apart, kind of get the material itself, and you're going to kind of roll it into a ball like this. And the idea is that you can use this for stippling. It gives a really unique effect and like a texture to the book. So you can see, I'll show you this one. If you kind of get close to it, I'll let this focus in a little bit. You can kind of see that it's got that texture to it. And that's because of the stippling and things that I did. And we're going to use different colors for that as well. Okay? Now, before we start that, I actually have my oven running right now. We are going to get started on the book in a moment. I'm going to show you how to make some giant toes in the meantime, because the book we can come back to in a little while. Giant toes. Giant toes. So for the giant toes, I actually already made a batch of dough, so it'll be nice and prepared for you guys. What you're going to do is you're going to start out, get yourself a bowl. You're going to do kind of half and half. So you're going to need some flour, and I mean, it should be really simple. The idea this is all pretty cheap for a hobby and just something fun. This is also kind of a fun thing to do with, your kids. I don't have any kids. I just like being crafty in my kitchen, making weird crap. So actually, that kind of looks like a heart. So this is half and half. It is a dough that's made from flour, and it's highly salted, so it's about half flour, half salt. You want to kind of get it a Play-Doh texture. You're going to add some water to it as you go along, and make sure that you knead it. You're going to knead it real well. So if you can see kind of close to it, kind of that texture that we have here. We don't want it too thick. We don't want it too thin. Okay? So I'm going to start out here, first of all, and I'm going to start making this giant toe. Now I have an old pan that I'm going to use. It's lightly greased. You can barely see it. So I'm going to put this to the side over here first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to separate a little bit of this here. And actually I'm going to take my rings off. If you have rings on, it's a good idea to take this off because it gets kind of nasty. So I'm going to take all my jewelry off. Put that right over here for now. All right, so for our first giant toe, we know giant toes obviously are bigger than human toes. So I'm going to take about this much, you can see. Okay? Kind of in the palm of your hand right here. I'm going to put this to the side here. Give myself a little bit of a space to work. Art table here is a little dusty, but it'll work. So I should also mention that while I'm doing this, you want to make sure that your surface is kind of clean, otherwise you don't want things to stick to it. This table has a little bit of paint on it, but it is clean, so it should be, you can see it sticks, or it doesn't stick rather. It sits fine. I forgot to mention, when you're making the giant toe, funny thing, for later on you're going to need water, right? You're going to need water for your paints. So get yourself some water. And this serves two purposes. So it doesn't have to be Niagara brand. I just got it because it's cheap. You have something to drink while you're here. You can take a couple sips. Agua. Dump a little bit of this water in here. Okay. For later on. We'll put that to the side over here for painting. And then we're going to go ahead, I already did this, but basically I'm going to tell you how to do it. Because when you're looking at a toe and a toenail, it's kind of curved, right? Granted, my nails are a little jacked up right now, not the world's best example. But as you can see, there's a curvature to it. I was trying to think of something that's smooth, that will take acrylic paint well, which is another plastic, and would be something we can kind of sculpt into the toe. So I thought of a water bottle. You can see the top of the water bottle here. if you cut it, the angle, if you cut it in half, like the bottle itself, you get two pieces that look like this. So I kind of cut the top part, probably like, I guess, the top third of it, and then like the neck of the bottle right here, I cut off. So that's gone. So you can see here, this part's gone, I cut off, and I separated these two parts down here, which is pretty easy to do, just a knife. Doesn't have to be anything great. It doesn't even have to be neat because obviously, you know, the giants in the game are kind of nasty. They don't have the best hygiene. It's not like they go to Sephora every weekend or they go get their hair did. So it's okay that they have nasty nails. They're supposed to have nasty nails. So go ahead and let that be kind of rigid if you want. This is pretty big, actually. That's okay, though. So I'm going to go ahead and, actually I'm going to increase the size of my toe a little bit because I cut that a little bit large. You're probably going to want to make it a little bit smaller when you make yours, so not as large as I made mine. Maybe about half that size, so maybe about right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start sculpting my giant's toe now. Now, anybody who has a toe, you don't need a picture of a toe. What you do need is to take your shoe off, which I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to go ahead and look down at my toes. So lucky for me, I have cute feet. I don't know if you do or not. Doesn't really matter. What does matter is the ability to take a look at your toe and try to sculpt it. Okay? So granted, most toes look the same, unless you got like freaky golem toes, in which case, you know, hey man, they got stuff for that. Don't worry about it. They got you. So we're going to kind of make this kind of elongated like that. Okay? Kind of slap it around a little bit like that. All right? Now in the game itself, you know what? It still feels a little bit, to me, too doughy. I want it a little bit more solid. So even though the way it is right now, I'm going to go ahead and get my salt out again, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and increase the thickness, so I don't want as much viscosity in the dough. So hold on one second, let me grab that. Okay. So I go ahead and I just grab my Great Value here. I got this from Walmart. It's dirt cheap. Gotta say, don't really like Walmart, but you know what? Sometimes you gotta go where you gotta go. So I'm just go ahead and I'm sprinkling this in here. I'm gonna keep adding some more as I go along. I want to increase that consistency so it's a little bit thicker and not as doughy. Because you can always add to the thickness. You can't always, you know, get the water out if you don't add anything additional. This makes it easier to kind of mold. And also, if your ratio to salt and flour is kind of off, this is any kind of time you make like ornaments. You can use this dough to make simple ornaments at home for like your Christmas tree and things like that. When I was younger, geez, like in the 6th grade, really young, I even sculpted a small dragon out of it. The harder it is, the easier it is to work with. That's what she said. Just kidding. Not really. And we're going to go ahead and add a little bit more again because it's still a little thin. So you can see here I'm really kind of adding a lot of salt to that. Go ahead and knead that in there. And it's okay if it feels gritty. Don't be worried about that.